Across regional South Australia, great to be joined on Flow FM by the Real Estate Institute CEO Andrea Heading. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
And something else that's very well looks like the state of the real estate market, which has probably got your members pretty happy as well.
It has again. So I think we're looking sort of broadly across all of South Australia, but it's a really positive message for metro and also for regional. So definitely it's looking good. We're sort of looking at figures of Q4 2021 compared to Q4 2022. So the last quarter for each one of the years, but it's looking pretty positive and up in all areas.
So that's year on year. What are we looking at in regional South Australia in terms of percentages of house price increases?
Yeah, so if I deep dived and sort of spoke about some particular areas, so we're looking. So if we looked at Naracoorte, for example, we're looking at an increase in the median price of 23.67% up, to be specific. So so we had a median in Q4 2021 of 258,750, and now in Q4 2022 it's 320,000. Probably of specific note too is actually the volume of sales are down year on year in terms of comparison. It's just more, there's less houses around, but the houses that are around are selling for more.
So there's been a contraction of supply, the old supply and demand market forces.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all of that. So there's less on the market, but then what is on the market is sort of like attracting a high price. I mean, there's some areas, of course, where there's fluctuations where it's sort of been down, but it's sort of in the main it's trending upwards.
And looking at even in the last quarter, it's what is it around from the Valuer General's data? Is it about 6%? I believe even in that last quarter, we've seen a jump again. That tight supply probably driving prices.
Yeah, exactly. So from sort of like just heading towards the end of last year and into sort of 2022 exactly, it's the same thing. It's the prices has gone up, probably not as a massive jump as what there was sort of from post-COVID or just coming out of COVID and then the year settling down. But yes, certainly there's been an increase as well. With less properties on the market, we know that there's also a bit of a wait and see in terms of what's happening with the Reserve Bank and what's going to happen with the next interest rate rise, which then we'll know more about, say, within the next 7 days.
Yeah, that's right. Now, the Australian Bureau of Statistics put out some data recently. I'm looking at drivers other than supply for this tree change we've been celebrating in regional South Australia. Population growth in South Australia, we're only second behind Queensland. I can't think in living memory whether that's been the case for a while.
Well, I know it's the classic sort of like sea and tree change, but also, people looking at sort of what's more affordable in terms of moving sort of around the state and certainly going into regional areas as well, which offers sort of, from a house's perspective, like good buying still if we're sort of talking metro moving into regional, but also sort of the amenities and infrastructure that's available as well.
And just your members, what are they hearing out there on the ground at the auctions, the open inspections, what have you, about what are some of these other drivers for why people are hungry for regional South Australian properties?
Well, I think it's a whole lot of reasons. It's sort of, it does go down to affordability. It's more, what's available as well as I said, sort of infrastructure-wise too, knowing that sort of if they move sort of on from sort of outer fringes of metro into regional or even further, that the house price and what you get in terms of land size, etc., is an attractive option.
And do you get the sense people are hunting for primary residences, or is there a little bit of investment property, holiday home activity going on as well?
Sure. I mean, always around this time of year with people holidaying within region, it's sort of, they're in that happiness halo.
I like that one.
Where they're sort of like looking around and sort of like have soaked up the benefits of what a summer holiday can look like. So you do see that happening sort of like in regional areas where there's been sort of an influx of holiday makers that sort of like to look at sort of what's around them for themselves. With the interest rate rise, it probably makes investors a little bit more nervous, and particularly if it's sort of, the mum and dad investors that are, we're not talking sort of, high-end style, but more about, so they're probably a little bit more careful as they sort of look to see, what's available to buy. But if it's a second property for them, then they're treading a little bit softer in that area.
Well, we'll check out how that's travelling in a quarter's time, I suppose. Real Estate Institute SA CEO Andrea Heading, thanks for sharing the good news with us today on Flow.
Yes, thanks, Ricky.